ask me about the bread, OT.
Welcome to LaRue's room. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing
Thank
good.
you guys for having me.
Man, it's a pleasure. Your host, Mamba as usual, co-host MG as usual, but we got a very special guest, Mr. Jack Reiss, a Hall of Fame ref in the boxing business. Been in the business for how many years? 30 plus?
26, 26
26? Okay.
as a
Okay.
pro. Yeah,
Basically 30.
as a pro. As a
And
pro.
we'll round that up to 30, man. You've served a great purpose in the community, man. We love it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Uh, First things first, man. Jack, we like to start off with kind of like a mental health check-in, like as far as like where you are professionally and personally. So, we'll ask you first, man, where are you at mentally, professionally, and then personally, where are you at as well on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 9 on both of them. I'm in a good place in boxing in my career, and definitely a good place in my life right now.
Good. How do you maintain that, man? I know you've got a busy lifestyle, but how do you kind of maintain that throughout the week, pretty much for you?
A lot of hard work, a lot of
Yeah.
communication, making mama happy, keeping the wife happy, and just trying to get up every day with gratitude and enjoy each day. Because
Um,
man, I got a lot less ahead of me than I got behind me already. So I'm just trying to enjoy every day.
it's a
True. That's
blessing.
true.
It's a blessing, man.
Happy wife, happy life as well, as they usually
Yeah.
say.
I'm learning that. I'm new into the married game. I've been married for a few years, but I'm working towards that more and more each and every year. So I'm right behind you.
You can't win an argument. You might as well just give in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Even
I've
if you
I've
win, you
tried.
lose.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
tried. I'm like, you
exactly.
know what? Is it really worth it? Nah, it's not worth it.
You might lose more if you win, actually.
That's a
Yeah,
Losing.
fact.
that's a good statement, man. True.
That's a
So
fact. Um, Glass, we'll go with you second, man. Where you at?
I'm good. Just got back off vacation in Mexico, so refreshed. And I would say professionally still doing good. So can't complain as long as they're paying me. I'm showing up. I'm happy.
That's true. That's true.
If the way
I'm
this economy is going, that's how I feel.
especially what you do too, man. I'm sure you see all that stuff. You see a lot of things kind of moving ahead than anything. So
NDA, but no comment.
for sure, for sure. For me professionally, man, I'm gonna say give it about an 8. Just trying to strive every day to do better, man, and do the best I can and make some money. But personally, man, this the podcast is kind of like my personal side. So get to kind of lay my hair down and just relax and just enjoy life. But I would say I'm a 10, especially this week. It was a good weekend. Watched a lot of boxing. There was a lot of boxing on. But yeah, spending time with the kids and that too on top of it, can't beat it. So I'm a 10.
There
I'm
you
a
go.
10 there.
There you go.
So, Mr. Jack, how
Sir,
did you get into the boxing community, man? Like where did you start? So what pushed you to that point?
uh, give me 10 seconds.
Yes, sir. You're good.
Take as much time as you need.
Well,
Absolutely.
sometimes it's easier a picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
Yes, sir.
That's true.
So this is my dad on the beach in Coney Island in
Oh wow.
1928. So I'm really not sure. He passed away when I was a young boy.
Hmm.
But he's yoked up and he's standing in a stance. And I grew up, he encouraged my brother and I to fight. We used to fight each other all the time. And just it was around my family. And then I got into it myself. And I always wanted to be part of professional sports. First, as a player, I played a lot of ice hockey growing up and
Hmm.
did a lot of kickboxing and boxing. And I wished I could have been a pro in either thing, but that wasn't in the cards. And I always wanted to be involved some way. And I gravitated, after the doors getting closed on me, I gravitated towards boxing. You know, the door that opened, I went through.
Yeah.
It's
In
so
was it in the ref capacity at first, or were you boxing yourself?
No, I boxed amateur for a little bit. I had a couple of fights, not very many. I wasn't very good, and I didn't get started early enough either. And I had to
Hmm.
make a living. So at 23, I walked away from all of that stuff and started trying to get a life and a career going. Ended up out here in California and got on the Los Angeles Fire Department. And I did
Nice.
31 years with LAFD.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you for your services too.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I was a full contact kickboxer as an amateur, and
Mm.
I came out here for 2 weeks to recover after an injury to my foot in a fight, an organized bout. And this is the way God had it planned, and it worked out great. I got no
Yeah, I was
complaints.
gonna ask because I'm sure that's a big change. You were in Brooklyn, right? Or
Yeah,
in California is a big change
yeah, it
in
was.
lifestyle.
But I needed it. It was. You guys, maybe you could relate. I don't know your backgrounds and stuff, but
Yeah.
I was going nowhere fast as a kid. I had these dreams of being this pro fighter, and it just wasn't materializing. And I was going to be one of the guys from the neighborhood the rest of my life if I didn't do something, and
Yeah, for sure.
that worked out. No
Yeah.
Well,
complaints.
it's
Change the scenery is it can do you good for sure.
Yeah.
Jack, can we kind of circle back? So like talk to me, like I know Caleb Plant, he was a kickboxer as well. He's actually one of my favorite fighters, but like how does that translate well into like boxing when you are kickboxing? Like obviously technique's got to be there, foot placement's got to be there too. So how did it translate for you?
Well, let me say this. I had a love for fighting since I'm a kid. And I'll never forget, I had an older brother, and I used to try to hang out with him and his friends. And they used to, when you're a little brother, you get abused a little bit, you get
Yeah.
Yep.
around, you get held down, you get, all kinds of stuff people do to you. And I'll never forget fighting back, just losing it one day. That's it. And fighting back, and I, beat this older kid. The guy was 2 years older than me at the time. And the feeling never left me, man. That
Yeah.
feeling of winning and fighting, and it kind of stayed
100%.
it stayed with me my whole life. To my own detriment, to be frank with you. On the fire department, I should have been a lot smarter. I could have probably went a lot further. But when people ask me a question, they got a truthful answer
Yeah.
and smarter, and said, I really don't know, and just kept my mouth shut. But it's that fighting in you that, people ask you a question, you're truthful. And my love of fighting translated into, I got introduced to ice hockey as a kid at
Mhm.
8 or 9. And I wasn't a really talented player, but I used to like mix it up a lot. I was the guy who went in the corner. I'd go get it. You
Yeah.
gotta work hard for it. I wasn't the goal scorer, but I'd get it out to the goal scorer and he would score. So I had value, and I always made these pretty good teams. Quite a few guys I played against or with made it to the NHL. Not
Oh,
me,
nice.
but they did. And I was I was like 15 or 16, 15, and I was getting into a league that was up to 20 years old. This travel Metropolitan Hockey League, that's a stepping
Yeah.
stone for the juniors. And because I have my role of a fighter, I wanted to learn how to fight better. And I looked for a boxing gym, and the only boxing gym I could find was Gleason's, which was at least a 30-minute ride by train for me. And my mom was like freaking out. You're not taking the trains home at 10 o'clock at night from Brownsville.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty rough neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
So I found a local martial arts studio a couple of miles away, and with a really great black belt, Louis Neglia. Went through I was with him for about 7 or 8 years and learned how to fight formally. And that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say ice hockey and fighting
Neck and neck.
also, they would say they that's the one sport where you're not really penalized as much. You are for to a certain extent, but you can kind of
When I was a kid, people would say, "Well, why are you playing hockey?" I love watching the fights break out.
yeah.
So when I got into
Exactly.
boxing, I tell people I keep expecting a hockey game to break out, but
Hey, to all the viewers watching this, my whole take on this is Jack was aggressive.
yeah.
He was ready to go at any point, and I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
And to my detriment, to be frank with you, to my detriment, as in,
Gift and a curse.
yeah, yeah, it's saying yes. It's funny, they're doing studies on this now. I saw the other day when I was younger, walking down the street, I guess like other people, maybe you guys yourselves, people wouldn't look at you and just think that you're an easy take, just the way you walked,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and which was good, kept me out of trouble,
Absolutely.
Yeah, you
But
got to size everyone. I think it's a man thing. You just kind of size people up on the when you walk past, like, "Oh, I think I could take them. All right,
you
probably
know
not that
what?
one.
And it wasn't even that if they could take me or not. I think people would look at me and go, "This guy might fight back. I'm not going to bother with
Yeah,
him." So
he might be an issue.
yeah, win or lose, they didn't want to get dirty. They wanted.
Yeah, yeah. This is gonna be a
100%.
tough night, regardless.
Yeah, and then in
100%.
New York, traveling the trains as a kid, man, you had to be ready. I traveled
Hmm.
2 and 3 in the morning on a Friday and Saturday night to go play hockey at 5 by Shea Stadium. I was living in Brooklyn,
Oh, okay.
four, 3 or 4 trains away and
Yeah,
a half. So, what are you going to get Friday night at 3 in the morning on a train?
Right.
Trouble. So,
people coming back from the club and people looking for trouble, which is kind of the same thing.
yeah.
You got a
So it
hell of
was
a
always
journey.
something. It was
Hell of
always
a
something.
journey.
Just a crazy way to grow up. I loved it though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it probably kind of shaped you to who you are today. So that's, huge credit, man. I'm glad you came out of that situation on top too, truly.
Thank you. I'm just glad I made it. I'm alive. I was probably one of the guys voted most likely not to make it to this age. So, because we were
Prove
crazy
the
when we were
haters
young.
wrong. Prove
I
the
got a lot of
doubters
friends
wrong.
that didn't. I got a lot of friends that didn't make it by their
Hmm.
own demise. Whether it was drugs or stupid things they did, got themselves killed. And
Yeah. Yeah, when you're in your neighborhood, especially in a place like that, it's kind of it's like you said, if you don't kind of leave, it's easy to fall into that.
100%.
yeah, and I was a fatherless kid. Like I said, my dad died when I was 8. So
Hmm.
and I was afraid I was like ashamed to admit to people I didn't know anything. So when someone
Yeah.
would ask me something, I go, yeah, yeah, sure. I didn't
Yeah.
know what I was talking about, but I would always say sure because I was ashamed of not knowing or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I'll figure it out before I ask for
Yeah,
help almost. Yeah.
All right.
and then you take all the lumps that go with figuring those things out.
Hmm.
Lessons learned.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
two-part question. Did you have like a kind of like a male role model that you could look up to? And also who did you kind of like idolize in the boxing world, like fighter wise, like at that time point in your life?
Well, I was very fortunate when my father passed. My mom, we moved. We had been planning to move when he was alive, and he passed. And a month later, we moved. But it was a great thing initially because my brother was playing baseball. Older brother was playing baseball. His coach, who I thought was probably like 45, 50 years old at the time, was only 22, and his wife, the guy's wife, was 23. And they took to my brother and I, and we used to go over to their house to eat, and they would take us to baseball games and hockey games, obviously with my mother's permission and stuff. And he was always a role model, became a close friend. We went into business together later on in life. And then, I had my karate instructor was also a great mentor. I just followed his lifestyle, and I loved the martial arts philosophies. You
Hmm.
know, great sayings that just like the roots of learning are bitter, but the fruit is sweet.
Hmm.
A million things like that. That was all plastered all over the walls.
Yeah. Very poetic.
Yeah, and I've always liked quotations. They remind me of Psalms in the Bible.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And then my favorite boxer was Marvin Hagler growing up.
Mm.
I just thought that guy, if there was someone I wanted to emulate, it was that guy with his work ethic.
Oh
Because
yeah.
he turned nobody down, and he walked around in shape all the time. There was no his training camps were training camps. They weren't weight loss camps. They were training.
Right. Right.
And when you got into a ring with Marvin Hagler, you had to fight, man. You had to fight.
It was a long night for everybody.
Yeah. So that's basically it.
But that's what you got. Because I got a lot of questions, man, but I
I'll
want to
let you
give you
keep
the
firing,
opportunity
man.
to.
I'll let you keep firing. You're on a
Well,
roll.
since we're here, give me what is the greatest fight you ever watched on TV before you got into the boxing business?
There's been so many great fights for different reasons, but I can tell you that one of them that made a big impression on me, you guys will get a kick out of this. I don't remember, it was 71, so 56. So I was 16, 15 or 16
Hmm.
years old. And Ali Frazier won in Madison Square Garden, March 8th,
Yeah.
1971.
Yeah.
So we couldn't afford to go to the fight. So every one of us chipped in $2. and they had it on what was called closed circuit TV, like pay-per-view.
Uh-huh.
But they showed it in the movie theaters. You guys aren't old enough to know about closed
No.
circuit.
No, you're
And
not.
so we did a normal Brooklyn thing. We bought one guy a ticket. He went in when the theater got dark. He kicked open the side door and
The
about
side
12 of
door.
us
Yeah.
piled in, and we all got to watch the fight. And that fight was just, the whole atmosphere was unbelievable.
Hmm.
Electricity in the air, and Frank Sinatra walking around, and all these celebrities, and it was just made a big impression. And then Ali, the way he was, the punches he took, and the way he was just kept sticking and sticking and moving. But
Yeah.
Frazier was like the effective aggressor, and bobbed and weaved and moved, missed a lot of shots, missed them,
Hmm.
able to land that left hook repeatedly. And how Ali got up after that knockdown, it just made a big impression.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was a good fight for that to be your fight. Yeah, it's a good choice. And
Then,
it has a story to it, of course.
then it was funny, man. I went back in my 20s later on in life, and just because we were like Brooklyn street kids, instead of paying to go see the fight, we climbed the fence in Aqueduct Racetrack and watched another Leonard Hearns, one of the Leonard Hearns fights.
Hey, you gotta get it how
Nice.
you can, man. I'm
Yeah,
out for
yeah.
that.
That was just
Especially
havoc,
in those days, yeah, yeah. Especially in those days, it's more important that you got to see it as opposed to having to
Yeah.
pay for it.
Man, I mean, that's crazy. Being in New York, you got you got the Yankees going crazy at that time. A part of like the boxing, boxing scene, boxing world. I want to get a part of I want to be a part of the amateurs at some point, and maybe just kind of, be a part of some events. How did you kind of go about maneuvering and like, getting to be a part of the community, starting with the amateur level, then working your way up to where you are now?
Well, here's the statement that I try to tell aspiring officials that come to our class, the sole arbiter class that we put on. You want to be involved? Get involved. So we gotta make yourself available, and you got to get within the organization somehow, so people can see your work ethic, get to know you, your character, and in whatever capacity you can. So what I always recommend here in California, I don't know how it works in Ohio, but here in California, we always recommend volunteer to the athletic commission to be an inspector. See if you can get a job as an inspector. The education you're going to get in the back room, it will be unbelievable for when you're actually refereeing. But you'll know what a skin glove looks like. You'll see all the tricks of the trade when people are trying to skin their gloves or make some bad wraps.
Yeah.
Plaster of Paris under the wraps, whatever. And you'll see every scheme in the book tried to be pulled in that dressing room, and you'll be able to regulate that sport, and you'll learn because other guys will see the same thing. And the growth and the understanding in the industry is invaluable. And the other thing about it is that's cool is the fighters, the corners, promoters, everybody will get to know you. Then when you transition into a judge or a referee, you immediately come in with a level of respect that you wouldn't have gotten before because they've already worked around you. They know
Yeah.
honesty, they know your integrity, they know you're a person who keeps his word, good and bad. Like, look, we told you can't do that. You can't use that. We're not letting you do that or whatever. But in the same respect, if there's a situation that comes up that's not black and white, you look for a solution to make it work for those fighters because it's not always perfect. Look, I'll give you a great example. This is the poor man's sport. Boxing is the poor man's sport.
Hmm.
So the rule says you have to have two mouthpieces, two fitted mouthpieces when you come to an arena, right? So if you're an inspector in the dressing room and you got this young kid from Mexico who's brought in to be the opponent, and he's a poor kid, he's trying to make a couple of bucks, and he only has one mouthpiece, are we calling the fight off?
Probably not.
No. So it's not black and white, but you just lay down the law. Look, man, this thing can't come out of your mouth. If it goes in the audience and we can't retrieve it, you lose the fight. Or believe it or not, borrow someone else's mouthpiece as a backup. And I watch guys use other people's mouthpieces and cups for 26 years. I've watched it.
Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's not like other sports that are well funded with teams and things like that. It's an individual sport, and you guys, let me tell you, what does it take to become a second? I'm not a good quarterman. I'm talking about just anybody off the street who wants to become a cornerman. They pay the
Ouch.
$50 fee or whatever it is, and they're a cornerman.
Right.
Doesn't make them good. A lot of fighters bring their friends in, and I know you've seen them. The guys that wear the two-piece, beautiful jumpsuits, dark glasses, their hair is all slicked back, indoor arena. They got dark glasses on. They just want to be noticed. They want to be.
Yeah.
You see me at the fights, that's their thing. You know, you see me, whatever. We got a lot
Yeah.
of that too. So you guys, as an inspector, you got to regulate that because they'll pull some bad stuff.
Yeah. I would
Or-
say, would you think that you were saying with the improper wraps and skin gloves, that probably happens a lot more in maybe the amateurs or the lower level fights because it's a lot less visibility to where people are like they think probably people aren't paying attention, you think, because of the magnitude of the fight. Like a title fight, obviously everything's gonna be inspected 100 times, but like if it's like a say like a extreme undercard or a card that just doesn't have a lot of visibility, that's probably where most of
a
the
small club show and not a big event.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you're 100% correct. Fighters will take what they can, and the trainers are unscrupulous sometimes. They'll do
Yeah.
crazy stuff. I was actually sitting in the dressing room when uh, Margarita
Hmm.
stacked his gloves. Well, as Cepatillo, as Leslie did it to him, he's claiming that he
Yeah.
didn't know, and he
Right, of
inspected.
course.
It was Bomac. Bomac's the one who noticed it, brought it to the attention of the inspector. The inspector took it away. They used it as evidence, and
Hmm.
I got to take a look at it, and stuff like that. It was like plaster of Paris or something in there, in my opinion. It was
Crazy.
Crazy.
rock like pieces. But you'll get that kind of stuff on the lower level fights. You get them in the higher level fights too, but not as much. I've walked by locker rooms looking to give pre-fight instructions, and I'm watching a guy he has the gloves. He's got a chair in front of him, and how you wrap. You got the handle.
Yeah.
You wrap.
Yeah.
So he's got the guy's got the glove on, and he's got the laces, and he's stripping back the gloves. With the door open, he's stripping back the gloves. I'm thinking, where's the inspector? Then the knuckle and the padding is exposed. So
Yeah.
so I went in. So I went in, and I go, "What the fuck are you doing?" And it fixed it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess you do whatever you can to win, but
I was gonna
damn,
say people will get away with as much as you let them.
man.
That's
Yeah, but unfortunately, like look at the fight with Luis Resto and with Panama, Lewis in the corner, and
hmm.
ruined the guy's life and his career, and he ended up
Yeah.
no life later on. And
Yeah. It's the one sport where well, I'm sure there's a lot of them, but it's one sport where cheating can lead to much worse than what is just losing a fight. You know what I mean? Like it could
it
take someone.
taints the victories too.
Hmm.
Look at all the people claiming they so and so's on steroids or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. So
And victories mean a lot more in these kind of sports. It's not like a season where they kind of wash away and you kind of have another season's worth of, to make it better. Like they stick a little more in these type of sports.
yeah, like in baseball when they had the guys in the stands reading the signs from and behind the
Hmm.
plate, and then now look at the bats the Yankees are using. Did you guys see that kind of
Torpedo bats. Uh-huh.
Yeah, torpedo bat. There's always
Yeah.
something you're playing by something.
Someone's gonna figure something out. Yeah. I wonder how long those are gonna be legal, to be honest with you.
I
Will they
don't know.
stop?
What's worse,
It
that or steroids?
depends on the
Steroids.
user. Steroids probably because it don't matter. You could be hitting with a wiffle ball bat damn near with steroids. Still crack it out.
Plus steroids. You look. You guys remember the ex-Oakland Raider Lyle Alzado?
No.
I
Man,
don't think so.
there's a great special on him. He was a freak. The guy was a beast. And,
Hmm.
mean, just nasty dude, would fight his own teammates. And it was the effects of the steroids. He ended up with a brain tumor because that's what the steroids do to you. They
Wow.
increase hormone growth. And unfortunately, if you got a little cancer, it's going to make it grow, I believe. And
Oh
he ended
wow.
up dying from a brain tumor and stuff like that. But it's very unhealthy for these guys when their
Yeah.
careers are over. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
look, Mark McGuire and what's his face,
Sammy
Griffey.
Sosa,
I,
Griffey.
I've never seen a person's head grow. You
I would
look
say
at them looking,
McGuire's head.
their heads grew.
Yeah, for sure. McGuire, you could tell he was, yeah, it was,
He was jacked. He
he was
was
like a
jacked
video
up.
game character for sure.
Jack, but you must admit, baseball was very exciting back in that time too, with all those years.
Man, it was great when him and Sosa were going at it for the 60 home
Yeah.
run. It was great.
100%.
It
Like,
was
let's,
entertaining.
I want to touch on just the Tyson Fury and Wilder fight. Like, not to get too deep, but like, how was it
Whatever you
like
want. Whatever you want.
being a part of a big event like that? How was that?
It's unbelievable. There's no way for anybody to, for me to describe it as well as I'd like to. But, people ask me if I miss what I miss about refereeing, and what I miss the most, believe it or not, is I didn't sit ringside for sure at towards the end of my career because there was a lot of pressure and with all due respect, people want to talk to you and it drains you. So I would sit
Hmm.
back, a couple of fights before the main, if I was doing the main or the co-main. And then when I see the camera guys running into the main event locker rooms because they're getting ready to make their walk, I'd use the restroom real quick, clean up, and make that walk, that 100-yard walk from the dressing room area to the ring. The lights are out in the arena usually, there's a little music playing,
Yeah.
and it's just an electric feeling, and I miss that the most. At that time, we're human, referees are human,
Yes.
and you could feel the adrenaline in your fingers. You could feel,
Yeah.
you're going into battle. You're under pressure. You make a mistake, it's magnified because you're the only person in the ring without gloves on.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's normal, and you feel that adrenaline rush, and it's just a great feeling. And then getting in there, and the crowd going crazy when they bring the fighters in, and it's just a great feeling. I miss that.
Yeah. Better than a front row seat. You are
Yeah, I gotta
in
say
the
it
ring.
is the
Best
best
seat
seat in
in
the
the
house.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Um,
is.
what were your preparation like for fights? How did you prepare to ref a fight?
So, Marcus, I'm really glad you asked me that question. But any successes that I've had, and I've had a lot of mishaps. I've made a lot of mistakes over the years. We all do. It's just human nature.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Any successes I had came from my um, growing up as a kid and discipline and the martial arts and the boxing. I trained like I was fighting. I would try to be pure forget about drinking any of that stuff, but I would treat myself like a fighter and I would start my prep for the fight. The bigger the fight, the longer I started the prep. But I
Yeah.
always made sure whether it was, if I was out of the ring, hadn't had a fight in over 2 3 weeks, I would go to a gym, move around with the guys while they're sparring. So,
Hmm.
so my instincts for moving, I don't have to think about my movement,
Yeah. Yeah.
my
Get the
positioning.
neurons firing.
One less thing I got to worry about. And it's funny, I'm sitting at my desk. I got this book. It's falling
Hmm.
apart. It's got tape all over it. And I started this book the very first day I got into the business. And it's
Hmm.
got notes and all kinds of stuff. If you can
Ah.
see,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
these came from my experiences in the ring. And every one of these things gives me a visual in my head that I start running through. And I
Yeah. Yeah.
and I visualize that scenario, what I'm going to do in it. Usually takes me about an hour to go through this book, and I transition that into when I needed to. I refresh myself on the rules that were applicable for that fight, unified rules
Hmm.
for a championship bout, and then I put together a video library of a bunch of fights where myself making mistakes, myself doing things correctly, and other guys in those same scenarios.
Watching tape.
Excuse me,
Watching tape. It's like watching tape for a
watching
different.
tapes of others and myself making mistakes and doing it right to visualize and remember what I need to do. So when the situation came up, it was just like I just did it this week.
Right. Right.
Your mind don't know if you actually did it or you visualized it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting muscle memory back and
Muscle
kind of get
memory for
every.
the movement in the ring, and
Yeah.
for me, it was getting in the zone. I had when I'm in the zone, man, I was so relaxed.
Hmm.
It's a weird thing, you got 20,000 people in an arena, and you got a couple of million people watching a pay-per-view event. I'm going to be honest, it's pressure, guys. You're
Yeah.
the guy in that ring, and if you don't prepare yourself, that pressure is magnified
Yeah.
tenfold. It's
I
all
mean,
about preparation. It really
not
is.
saying that he didn't prepare anything, but I mean, obviously a big topic was the ref's decision in the Tank and Roach fight. And I mean, I'm not saying he didn't prepare. I'm not, that's, I mean, it is in the moment. Everything is happening as it's happening, but it's so much that people don't realize the preparation that has to go into it and things you have to remember. And the refs have to remember more rules than the fighters themselves. So
Bro, and,
it's,
and that's a
it's, it's a lot.
quick moment too. Like that happens really fast. So like you can't rewind time. It's tough.
Combative sports is the only thing that, when people officiate it, you can't call timeout and get into a huddle with six people and figure out what happened.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta call it in an instant. And I gotta tell you something you guys could take away with you. The most important thing a referee could do for himself is be decisive.
Hmm.
Stay focused in the moment, call exactly what you see. You can always change your call midstream, but hesitation and the deer in the headlight look,
Yeah.
that's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
You got to be decisive, and we all make mistakes, but decisiveness gets you out of a lot of problems, and it all comes with preparation. The more stuff you go over, however people prepare with me, I walked through, I went to gyms, I used to go in the dining room of my house or my backyard and picture and walk through the mechanics of a knife,
Yeah.
of a head, but all this stuff. So when I got into that arena, I had just done it.
Right. Right.
And my pre-fight instructions, I would do it a couple of days before, a day before, and then on the drive to the arena. So,
Hmm.
so the first guy I give my pre-fight instructions to, my lips were moving and I was doing it just like I would do it
Yeah.
if I did it 5 times that day.
You're probably doing it in your sleep. I'm sure your wife's probably heard it in your sleep several times.
She's sick of me and sick of boxing. Let me tell you. Nah, she loves boxing. She loves boxing.
That's good. That's good. So I would say,
America,
I got a question for you, Jack. So
yeah, let's talk boxing. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no,
yeah,
you're
yeah. My
good.
bad. I
No, I
ruined the
love this.
combo. Ruined the combo.
No. I love this. I love this. I actually wanted to kind of like talk about MG. So MG, he's been kind of like wanting to get into the boxing world as well. We're both obviously the media is important, but kind of some of the stuff you brought up, man, like just being involved, like how can he get involved even
I
more?
know refing. Yeah, refing is one thing that I was definitely interested in for sure.
What's your boxing background?
Other than just watching, my participation is very, very, very small, other than like a few classes. I've been watching all my life, but I haven't had a foot into like a organized boxing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. What sports did you guys play growing up, or what sports do you?
I played
Uh, I, s-
football and
I
basketball.
I played I ran track, played football, and played basketball. I still play basketball in the league. So I'm still pretty active. I go to the gym a lot too, so I'm very active and can keep up um with what it takes. I feel like people don't understand some cardio involved in ref, and you gotta be
100%.
around.
It's not that. You guys both have played organized ball, and you
Hmm.
know what athletics are. So
Yeah,
dealing with the athletes will be a lot easier than just some guy who was a computer nerd and never did anything in his life, and now
yeah,
be a ref because he thinks it's cool. So
yeah.
you guys got athletics in your background. And to tell you the truth, sometimes it's even better that you don't have any predetermined viewpoints on what refereeing does. In fact, I'll
Hmm.
tell you, this is straight up because I train referees all the time, and the
Okay.
athletic commission will agree with me. We get a lot of guys that come from USA boxing and amateur boxing into the pros, and the guys that have been in the USA boxing for 2 years, 4 years, 5 years the most, they do well. They transition into the pros because, man, it's a
Hmm.
different game. It's totally different. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
and the best example I can give you is softball and MLB are both baseball, right?
That's true.
And it's totally different.
Oh yeah.
So, but the guys who have been in boxing and USA boxing, and they've been in it a long time, 7, 10, 15 years, they can't break the muscle memory like you were talking about. They can't
Hmm.
break the habits. they stick with what they were taught and did for so long out. So I feel it's better to take a person that doesn't have experience and train them. Just,
Yeah.
it's just better. So you don't discount yourself. But like I
Okay.
said, if you want to be involved, I recommend to both of you guys
Get
get
involved.
involved. Yeah, get down there, get them to know who you are, volunteer, or actually look for a job as an inspector or something like that with the commissions. You know who the local commissioner is for Arizona State Athletic Commission?
I do not, but I can look it up.
It's Danny
Who was
Vella. Danny Vella.
Danny Valley?
Vella.
Vela,
The next
Arizona
longtime USA boxing official. He's running it now. I just did a
Commission.
class. I just did a class for them in February.
Okay.
We just missed the basic referees class and judges class in February, but they do them
Of
all.
course. I'll definitely I just did a quick little Google search, but I'll definitely try to keep my eye out for the next one for sure. It's
Jack,
The
I
other
know
thing
you
you
do.
guys could do if you're really interested, are you guys familiar with the ABC,
Oh,
Association of Boxing Commissions?
okay.
I've heard
Okay.
the name, yes, but ABC, no, sir.
Yeah, I didn't know it was yeah.
I didn't
The
know.
acronym not
You
as
know
yeah.
what the ABC does, who they are?
No, sir. Tell us more.
So the ABC is not like the WBC or the WBO. You know what those are, right?
Mhm.
Yes,
Those are sanctioning bodies. They sanction
correct.
fights. They say, Marcus, you're going to fight Marcus for this belt at this
Right, right.
class. The
Mandatories and all
ABC,
that.
the ABC is the Association of Commissions that regulate the world championship bouts and make recommendations and regulate the sport itself. So when we do a world championship fight, we use the unified rules that were set forth in place by the Association of Boxing Commissions. Any championship fight around the world usually uses the ABC rules.
So is it like the comparison would be like the NCAA versus like the SEC and the Big Ten and those conferences, and like the NCAA is like the overarching and they have the NCAA rules, but the SEC, Big Ten, Big East, gonna be back, Pac-12, uh they have their own like essentially sanctioning bodies, but they have to comply with NCAA rules.
Yes, yes. Now,
Okay.
the only thing is they don't have to comply with the ABC rules, but they're all pretty much adopted because it's the association of all the commissions. And
Yeah.
sanctioning bodies join this as well, and they've left it in the hands of the ABC to do what's fair and what's right and train the officials and regulate the rules. Like I'm gonna tell you something. We're making rule changes all the time. We just put out
Hmm.
a brand new boxing referees manual. And because of what happened with Gervonta Davis, believe it or not, it's amazing when I tell you this, you won't believe it, but there's nothing in writing that says when a fighter takes a knee, it's considered a knockdown. So we're putting
Oh,
it in there. We're putting it in. It's a policy and it's a procedure that's been in practice longer than I've been alive.
yeah.
But we're actually putting it in the books right now. So, and that and some other things. There's a lot of gray area. So we're trying to find good language to where, have you ever seen a guy? Okay, do you remember when Joshua fought Pulev?
Yes.
Do you remember what happened where Pulev was taking some really good shots and he turned his back and he grabbed
Yep.
the turnbuckle?
Yep.
That's basically abandoning the fight. The referee could have stopped the fight in that case.
Oh, yeah.
Called a fight. But we're trying to do in the spirit of what's correct, not the letter of the law, the spirit of what's correct.
Yeah.
We're looking at it as the guy's saying he needs a temporary break. We're looking at it as if he took a knee. So we're writing in the books. If a guy turns his back, temporarily appears to abandon the ropes, abandon the fight, using the ropes as safe refuge, it could be considered a knockdown. So
Hmm.
we're trying to get all these things put in writing. So because we teach to the lowest common denominator, we got people all over the world doing fights as refs. We're trying to teach people who don't have the experience as well as the ones that do. So we're trying to make it simple.
Right.
But the ABC is in charge of all that. I'm
Yeah.
not in charge of it. They're the ones who who actually write those rule set, and they write those rule sets and regulations from all the input from all the different commissions. So it's a group that came together out of necessity.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. It's better to
So
have something to look back to like, just in case it is a bad decision or quote unquote a decision that's controversial. At least there's,
every week there is.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
I'll give you another
it's
example. Did you guys see the two fights out of the UK this weekend? And I'll give you the guys' names because they got weird names. Um, one was with Rafferty and O'Regan.
I didn't
see
get
that
to
one.
watch any fights because I
And
couldn't
how
find
about,
any way to do it.
oh, you didn't watch any fights this weekend?
I was I was in Cancun, so
Oh,
I was limited to what I could do.
cool. How about Adelaide versus TKV? You guys didn't see those two fights?
No, was that on the Joyce undercard?
Yes,
Okay, so I think
yes.
I might have caught the end of that. Is that where like it was a weird punch, right? And then he turned around like 30 seconds later, he put him down, and then another knockdown, then he got stopped. Or is that a different fight?
It's the same fight, but I'll explain what happened.
Yes, sir.
So the ABC, and we're putting it in writing, doesn't recommend ever slapping the fighter's gloves when they're in the clinch. This
Um,
two referees on the same night in the same arena. The guys were clinched. There's a difference between clinching and holding. These
yeah,
guys were in a clinch, which means one or both. On one fight, it could have been both of his hands were free, or at least one hand was free for each fighter. So they could work out of that. It wasn't like they were wrapped up in a bad position that they can't get out of. They were just in a clinch. So you try to work them out of it by telling each other, let each other go, keep working, pull your arm out. They're allowed to punch when they're in a clinch. But when you are going to make an intervention as a referee, you want to stop all the action and you're going to physically break them. They
yeah,
were in a clinch, and this referee said, break. And he was trying to say separate, let each other go. And the word break means different things to different people, because especially different languages.
yeah,
So they weren't doing what he wanted fast enough. And say I'm one guy and there's a fighter in front of me, and my arm is being held by the other fighter. He slapped the other fighter's arm and freed my arm. I hit him with a left hook and dropped him.
Oh, oh.
The referee changed the course of the fight because I didn't know why the guy let me go. I didn't know he got his hand slapped. The referee was
yeah,
behind me and his glove was past, his glove was over here. And the
yeah.
ref slapped his glove over my shoulder. All I knew was my hand was free and I threw a hook and dropped the guy. That guy ended up losing, getting knocked out. Same thing with the
Dang.
fight. So we're going to make recommendations. We do anyway, but now we're putting it in writing in the referee's manual. Do not slap the fighter's gloves. I got video upon video where
Yeah.
that's happened. And
What is the best course of action that you would think in that situation?
you tell them to fight out, let each other go, pull your arm out, whatever it is, they can keep fighting. If they're
Hmm.
not getting out of that clinch, then you do a referee's intervention. You say the word stop, because
Mm.
what does stop mean?
Oh,
Quit.
Whatever you're doing, don't do anything
Don't
else.
do it anymore.
yes, sir.
So if you say the word stop and someone doesn't stop, you now have a foul. If that guy does it, it's now a foul. When he said
Yeah.
break, it didn't mean stop. Break means to separate something that's one into two.
Into two. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, using the word stop, and he hit him afterward, then you'd have a foul. With the word break,
Yeah.
the guy didn't do anything wrong. It was the ref that freed his arm that changed the
Right.
course of the
He
fight.
was within his rules and did everything that he could have done within his power because there
Right.
was no stop.
Right. And the ref is the one that screwed it up. There's no question about
Yeah.
it. Two
So
refs.
with these changes, how fast do they go into effect? Are they immediate changes where they
That's a
send
great
out the
question.
new rule books or
No. Well, we're constantly updating it, and we just finished the most modern one we just did in July 2024.
yeah.
Now, there's three certified trainers, referee trainers, myself, Russell Moore, and Harvey Dock. So commissioners bring us in, sanctioning bodies bring us in, and we present all this stuff and we highlight all the new changes.
Yeah.
Additionally, additionally, I don't know if you guys know, you guys know about the class that I got, or the school that we got for referees,
Yeah, yeah,
sole
Christian
arbiter?
mentioned something about it.
We bring that up in those classes. It's,
yeah,
The referee, Tom Taylor, he's been in Vegas, and
He was
me,
just
yeah,
him, Russell
last
Mora.
week.
Yeah, me, him, and Russell Mora got a 3-day program. We teach referees from all over the world. And we teach them the nuances. It's a great fantasy camp. If you're a fan, it's a great class. If you're a brand new referee, and it's a fantastic class if you're a seasoned ref.
yeah,
We're going to go back and give you the foundation you probably really don't have.
yeah,
Depending on where you came in it, and you won't be embarrassed because we're going to show it to you and stuff like that. And you'll level up. You'll level up from this thing. So we do that, and between all the classes we're giving with the ABC and art class and things, and people word of mouth, it gets out there. And
yeah.
so we're changing these two things. What happened with Gervonta Davis about, it's not an automatic. The worst thing that happened throughout that whole thing was a lot of referees thought that when the trainer came up on the apron to wipe Davis,
Correct. Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it to you. My phone was ringing for 4 straight days. My wife was ready to divorce me. I'm not kidding. And because I'm a trainer with the ABC, and plus, I
Yeah.
just have a lot of friends in the industry.
Yeah.
And Jack, what should have been done? And I go, what do you think should have been done? Because I know it should have been done. I want to hear, what you think.
For
And I
sure.
tell you how many guys said it should have been an automatic disqualification because the trainer came up on the apron during the course of a round.
Right.
There's no such thing as an automatic disqualification, except
Ah.
not in a case like this.
Yeah.
The only case it's an automatic disqualification is on an intentional foul with injury where the fighter who gets fouled cannot continue. The fighter who intentionally fouled the other fighter is automatically disqualified.
Yeah.
Pretty much that's it. So did this cause any harm?
Nope.
No.
Did it create an advantage? Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
So disqualifying Gervonta Davis would not have been the smartest thing to do for the actions of
Yeah.
the corner. What I would have done, time. You go over there, you over there, you inspector, he's gone. Get him out of the corner. He's
Yeah.
suspended, take away his license, you got to appear before the commission. So
Yeah.
I don't like to punish the fighter for the actions of the corner.
Right. Right.
So get rid of the problem, give Davis a big hard warning. Anything else he does that's out of line, I'm going to start taking points, and you move on. But
That's
I can't tell
fair.
you how many referees said it's an automatic DQ. They would have had a riot in that place if they DQ.
For sure.
But that's what guys don't think about. For some reason, they want to be like letter of the law. And I'm going to give you a great example. Here's the analogy. Disqualifying somebody is no different than a cop shooting and killing somebody. Disqualification isn't a tool in your tool chest. It's a last resort. If I worked with 5 cops, and I asked them, did you ever shoot and kill somebody? I guarantee you 4 out of 5 will say no, maybe all 5 of them.
Right.
One of them said, yeah, I once got in a shootout and one guy died. The other 3 said, I never even shot my gun. And the 5th guy says to you, yeah, I've shot and killed 7 people. What's your impression of that guy who shot and killed 7?
You're gonna be like, there probably wasn't 7 situations where that was your first or second or third or ninth choice.
Something's wrong.
It's the last resort.
Yeah.
And it tells you everything you need to know about that guy in boxing. If you disqualify a fighter, it should be under review to see if your actions were justified. It's a last resort. But guys go too much by the letter of the law because they take everything personal.
Yeah.
Now listen to me. He's disqualified. It's not the way to do it.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
I personally
It's worked for me. I don't know if it's the right or wrong, but it's worked for me.
Yeah, I understand
like Tank Davis though for some
What's
reason.
that?
I don't think a lot of people like Tank Davis for some reason. To be honest with you, there were so many people just kind of like making it a little too personal for me. Like I watched a couple shows and just people kind of like weighing in, and it's like if you sit down and look, what are the actual rules? That's when I actually texted you like, hey, like what do you think about that? Like what are the rules? you know, how do you go about calling something like that? Like who was in the wrong, who was right, like what happened? So
So I'll give it to you. So did you guys ever watch Pro Box?
yes, I
Yeah.
still watch it.
Yeah.
Malinaji and Chris Algieri and James.
Yep. Yep.
So they asked me to come on the show and talk about this situation. Did you guys
Yep.
get a chance to
Oh,
see that?
I
I
watched
saw
all
it.
of it.
I watched it. I watched it.
I wasn't allowed to, at the time, the thing was still under investigation, so I wasn't allowed to say the referee made a poor choice. This is what it was. The referee made a poor choice. He didn't break any rules. What he did was totally within his scope of responsibility. But
Right.
was it the best thing for boxing? Absolutely not.
Right.
So they were going crazy because they wanted me to say it should have been a knockdown. Well, yeah, it should
Yeah.
have been a knockdown, but
Yeah.
Oh,
I wasn't allowed to say it until
Couldn't say it. Yeah. Yeah. If it's under investigation, then yeah, you're.
but I would taint the investigation. I can't do that stuff.
well, go. I
Yeah.
So I don't
mean,
want
who
to throw
has?
anybody under the bus, but look, it wasn't the best choice, but he didn't break any rules. He just made a
Right.
poor choice.
It
I
was a. It was
literally
a.
The other night, the guy slapping the gloves. Very poor choice.
right.
And you know how I know the choices are bad? Because I've made poor choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I was
I've
gonna
learned the
say
hard way.
Right.
You
you have
know,
the skin in the game to be able to you've dealt with the consequences of poor choices, so you understand
hey,
what poor choices are.
you look, none of us are perfect, and we
Nope.
make poor choices. In the heat of battle, spur of the moment, we've all made poor choices. We miss
Yep.
knockdowns, we miss headbutts, and we make poor choices. And those poor choices lead you to making better choices in the future.
For
So,
sure. For sure. They're
I'm
just so
gonna.
magnified on that scale that like a poor choice in an amateur fight isn't magnified as much as a poor choice in a um
a
uh
pay-per-view main event with
pay-per-view.
Gervonta Davis.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, man. That's
What is a knockdown? Do you guys know what a knockdown is?
A knockdown is when a fighter is gives up or is physically unable to. If you're not on 2 feet, then it's a knockdown, right?
any part touches the canvas, you're considered hurt.
That's not your feet.
A knockdown is anytime due to a legal punch or punches, any part of your body other than the soles of the feet touch the canvas, or you are lying helplessly on the ropes,
Yep.
or there but for the ropes, you would have fell. I've got videos of guys, they get knocked, they're falling, the ropes catch them, they bounce up, they would have been down without the ropes.
Yeah.
And now we're adding, or if a fighter takes a knee, or when a fighter turns his back and uses the ropes as safe
Got it.
refuge.
Got
So
it.
Gervonta got Roach through a three-punch combination, a right
Mm-hmm.
hand, a little measuring jab, and then
Yep.
the third jab, he threw it perfect. It started like this, where his thumb was facing the sky, and he twisted
Mm-hmm.
at the end, which he's supposed to do. And
Yep.
I think the twisting motion caught, well, it was on his skin at the time, and whatever it did, I think it caught the bottom of his eyelid and made him uncomfortable. That twist,
Yeah.
the leather grabbing the skin. He
Yeah.
blinked and he moved back. He looked at the ref and he took a kney from a punch.
Yeah.
No
For sure.
question about it.
Clear as day.
So
So
clear as day knockdown.
got a point. He could have, should have, could have. He should have been counted down as a
Yeah.
knockdown. But then what he did, which was things that referee could have taken points away, was not following the ref's command, sticking
Went
his
to the
head back the
corner.
ropes twice,
Yep.
and allowing the guy to wipe him.
Trainer.
So
Yeah.
he could have got points taken away for those things too. And if the ref
Yeah.
would have stopped the fight, it would have been his fault. The Gervonta's fight fault, because he wasn't listening to commands. Thank God
100%.
that didn't happen. Wouldn't have been the
Yeah.
best thing.
So when they do the review, like how the New York State Commission and how when commissioners do reviews of situations like that, do they go to the ABC and for part of that review and either the rules that you guys have in place, or is the ABC involved in the reviews at all?
Usually, all of them, where they, in the background, they call us up. Here's what we came up with. What are we missing? What could
Yeah.
you do to this thing? In this case, the ABC, the
New York
EO,
State
Executive Officer of the New York State Athletic Commission,
Yeah.
is the guy that wrote the rules for the boxing referees manual. So he
Hmm.
went right to the referees manual and what his rules and his states say. So
Yeah.
he said it should have been a knockdown. The referee should have called it a knockdown. But
Yeah.
we're changing it because a rule wasn't broken. It was the discretion of a referee, and we have discretion. And
Yeah.
Foley and those guys were arguing with me about you guys shouldn't have that discretion. I don't know if you heard what I said to him. He
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
had
It,
discretion.
it's yeah, it's just how it always has been. Like changing it just for this fight, just because of the outcome,
Can't
you
do
know,
that, bro.
Yeah.
you can't make it fight by fight basis, or that's when things like this happen kind of would be happening on a grander scale and be a little, you know, quote unquote corrupt if they took that discretion away. So
Yep. And in
uh,
in the other cases and things that come up all the time, they lean on the ABC to get an opinion on the referee's performance or referee's decisions all the
for
time.
sure.
We're writing reports and
Yeah.
it's usually not rule violations, usually just really poor decisions.
Yeah, yeah. I would say the decision making would probably would qualify you more as a poor ref than anything else. So that makes sense.
The number one trait of a referee, the best trait a referee can have is good judgment.
Yeah, yeah, that
That's
makes sense.
Yeah, because and look, if you look at other sports, it's not black and white. Look, you see a guy sliding into second place and he's trying to take out the second baseman, and the
Yeah.
second baseman jumps to get away from spikes coming up at him.
Uh-huh.
The ump's going to still call the guy out at second, even though sometimes his foot's off or he's throwing, whatever. Same thing
Yeah,
at first base. They don't want to get guys hurt.
yeah.
It's the spirit of the law sometimes.
Targeting in football, there's that's discretionary. It's a lot of discretion, even like pass interference and things like that. It's a lot of discretionary. I mean, pretty much every sport has. I mean, fouls in basketball, everything
Yeah.
is kind of discretionary. I would say how you were saying you can't overturn those in the moment. The rules don't let you, like you were saying, there isn't a panel of six people that get together and look at a monitor, like extra judges, like,
Instant
sorry, extra
replay.
refs that look at it with an instant replay and say, hey, that was the wrong choice. Let's go back and do that over because you can't do it over. So it's just a
But
little different.
so you guys are left. So the ABC is now finally not that they did anything wrong, but finally recommending that everyone gets replay and
Okay.
everyone is sure when it's set up, it's working right and ready to go because they had
Yeah,
that's
the
one of the
the
things in New
issue.
York. Yeah,
Yeah, the issue with the in the truck, they said they didn't get the feed in time. Oh,
they're both there's conflicting
yeah.
stories on this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Which you guys were talking about on the Pro Box thing. I remember that as well.
Hmm.
But my point is, this is boxing's for a lot of money, and I recommend everybody get instant replay. And I'll tell you why. We have to make split-second decisions, and sometimes we don't see. I was involved with a fight in Oklahoma. It was Jesse Franco against Andrew Maloney 3. They had
Hmm.
just had a controversial fight in Vegas 4 months prior, where Rodriguez's eye swelled up and he couldn't see. The referee called it a headbutt. They had a 26-minute delay to see if it was a butt or a punch. It was a mess. So they come to Oklahoma, and the two fighters are like this, okay? And I'm here, and I'm caught on the ropes, so I'm moving past them, right? I get to this
Yeah.
corner. When I get to this side right here, I don't know if you guys get me.
Yeah, yeah.
Both throw punches, right hands. And I see the right hands go right past each other, and Franco drops. So
Hmm.
I figured that
Headbutt.
Maloney's punch caught him.
Oh,
So I go down, like it hit his face and kept going.
yeah, yeah.
I signaled down, and Franco gets over. He goes, "No, no, I slipped. I slipped." I said, "We'll go to replay. Don't worry." We went to replay. The round was over. I told everybody hold the cars. I said to the replay guy, Gary Ritter, punch or a slip. He goes, "No, no knockdown, slip." So we changed it, and everybody was ecstatic that we got it right.
That's amazing.
So replay really works. I missed something. I made a mistake.
Yeah, yeah.
Fixed it. We fixed it, and everybody was happy.
Crazy.
That's why everybody should use replay because the fans want us to get it right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And
the
it's
most
No,
good for
important
the
it's
thing.
sport too.
But that's the most important thing. Just get it right.
Yeah.
We're human,
yeah,
make mistakes. All the other sports use replay. I think everybody should be using replay. It's a great tool. Takes
Right.
away,
yeah,
especially, if it's Vegas or other places that people are betting on it. Can you
yeah,
imagine
yeah.
losing a big chunk of money because
Yeah, no, coming up to a decision, and yeah, that is Vegas usually says, "I'll be
oh,
quiet about that one."
I forgot I went off on a tangent. Wanted to tell you guys should go down and take in the ABC conference. It's coming up in New Orleans in the
Oh,
middle of the summer.
Okay.
okay.
If it's August, July or August, at the end of July or beginning of August, and you get to take seminars and you get to see how things operate. I'm not saying go do it this year, but it's a good organization to join for sure
Yeah,
because it's a neutral organization. It's not a sanctioning body
right, right, right.
that you don't want to join a sanctioning body until you get into their business.
Yeah,
Correct.
August
Um,
1st to the 7th is when it is in New
There you go.
Orleans.
So you can go and you can see how things are regulated. There's meetings where they're making decisions and you can, observe the voting process and the logical things that they deal with to make it work. They also have a
Hmm.
committee called the Fighter's Voice that represent the fighters on
Yeah.
protests and on all kinds of things. There's just a lot of good stuff going on. So between getting involved with your own commissions, getting involved with the ABC a little bit, for sure, like I would go call Danny and say, hey, I want to be involved in boxing. Is there a possibility I can become an inspector or whatever? I
Yeah.
don't know who
No,
the commissioner is in Ohio right now, but you can
I
look.
yeah,
It's
uh,
easy.
yeah,
yeah.
I'll look that up for sure.
No, for sure. Thank you for the advice. It's definitely a lot of good information there because yeah, I got my Google searches lined up already, so I can to do my research after we conclude here.
Yeah, it don't happen overnight. It just takes a little time. But if you love the sport and you really want to get involved, put invest in yourself and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Jack, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, man. Just, your knowledge, the things that we can probably gain from you just from a knowledge standpoint and advice on how to get, to this point where we're kind of here trying to figure out how to take that next step. I think you're a great person to talk to. Christy spoke
Thanks.
highly of you too. So we're very blessed for that, man. Truly, truly.
For sure.
Thank you.
Glad you
Um,
had some time to speak to us for
For
sure.
sure, for sure. Today was perfect. It was perfect. I would love to get more shows with you here upcoming for the year. I know you got usually busy weekends throughout the entire year, so we'll try to
Yeah,
figure out something
and
for
I'm
sure.
shot the next 3 weeks. I'm shot. It's good stuff. All boxing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great stuff there.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Boxing, let me tell you something too. You guys got young families, both of you guys.
I do.
I
Yes, sir.
don't.
Uh, well, I just gotta tell you, for you, it's gonna be better, Marcus. I'm saying Marcus, and both of you guys are gonna answer, but
Yeah, Staples and Glass
I'm
and
gonna call
Weasley
you
House.
Glass.
Cool.
So Glass, it'll be a little easier for you because if you get into this, whoever you meet and bring into your life, she's got to take it or leave it. It's already there. Having
Yeah.
having a family, Staples, it is tough, man. Boxing has taken me away from so many memories that my family made or that I would have
Mm.
made with them. Friends, weddings, funerals, gatherings that I should have been at. It takes you away from a lot of it, man. Because it's
Yeah.
always on the weekend, usually on the
True.
weekend.
True. Which is everyone's free time usually.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of stuff that goes with it that makes it a little tough, but my wife was supportive, and I'm glad I did what I did. But now I'm making it up to her, trying to be better.
Yeah. Lost time.
Trying, you can't make it up, but I'm trying.
Yeah. Yeah. Making more moments. That's the only way you
And
can
and
fix it.
and, and it's definitely a part-time job with a full-time commitment. Um,
Hmm.
if you want to be good at something, you really got to do a lot. You got to think about it a lot, and I don't know how to explain this to you, but I'm stealing this line from a pro referee in football. They once interviewed this guy and they said, "Hey, you're retired now. What was it like being a ref?" He goes, "Well, it was pretty simple. It encompassed my whole life." "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, when I was with my family, I was thinking about football. When I was in church, I was thinking about football. When I was with my friends, I was thinking about football." And
Yeah.
it's the same thing with boxing. If something happens in a movie or something happens in another sport, And my mind just goes to, wow, that could relate to boxing.
Yeah, the correlation.
Yeah, and I'm sitting in gatherings with friends, and I'm doing this number, looking at the zone, or I'm looking at ESPN,
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
and they go, Jack, come back,
Like, no, 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 no. Just
Yeah,
give
but
me
so
one
and
more
so's
round.
fighting. Let me just look at this
Yeah, one
round,
more round.
And
Man,
then like I got so many, I got a group of really good people around me that we're all watching stuff. So my phone's blowing up. Like this weekend, my phone blew up because the guy slapped the other guy's hand and got knocked out.
Right, right.
And I was watching the Davis Roach fight, and so I was, watched it live. But my phone was blowing up, and then for 4 days it didn't stop.
Yeah, that just speaks to you and how people value your opinion, which is very important.
But it's nice. I wish they, yeah. I was gonna say something funny, but
No,
um,
you can.
hey, do your thing, man.
they call me up, and then they go. Some guys call me up and they go, "Did you see that shit? What'd you think?" And then I tell them, and it
Yeah,
wasn't the same as what they were thinking. They go, "Yeah,
for
yeah, I feel
sure.
the same way." So now I go like this. I go, "Well, I know what I would do. What would you do?" And I hear
Yeah,
them
yeah,
stumbling and mumbling, and then I say, "Well, how about this? What do you think about
yeah,
this?"
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's funny. And then they'll call another guy.
And act like they know.
Yeah, and then they'll tell him, "Nah, man, it's this."
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny.
As I thought this the whole time. You
Yeah,
get used for well, I don't want to say used, quote unquote
I'm
use.
Google.
Yeah, you're Google basically for everybody, the system of records. So
Man,
no, I understand.
No, yeah, I'm
one,
blessed to be in that position. It's just
Time
some guys
consuming.
abuse it, and they make it a burden instead of rather than fun. You know
Yeah.
what we do in Soul Arbiter, we allow the people that took the most recent class to contact us with any of their fights or any fights that they see on TV,
Uh,
send them to us, but they can't say like, because this is what was happening. They would send me a fight glass and they'd go,
mhm.
"Hey, watch my fight and tell me what I could have done better." I'm not spending an hour watching your fight. It's,
I'll say that's 12
50.
rounds, 10,
Yeah,
12
I said, well,
rounds.
look, did anything happen? Okay, send me the round and
Clip.
send me how many seconds into the round, and I'll tell you what you could have done different or better maybe in that scenario, alternative.
Yeah.
So now people send me clips and send me whole fights, but they say go to 12 minutes and 2 seconds. It was the
Yeah.
fourth round, whatever. So we do that for them. We break it down, and the three of us, four of us, spend time on the phone with them, and they get mentoring from a conglomerate of over 3,000 fights with over
Hmm.
200 world title bouts from the four of us. So it works
Yeah.
out good. Um,
And yeah.
girl, Diana Drews Milani, a female referee out in Germany, just uh,
Hmm.
just did a world title bout. They gave her the main and the co-main the same,
Mm.
which isn't the smartest idea, but then they ended up changing it, and she did a
Yeah.
good job on it. So she's a soul arbiter, and we're happy when that stuff happens. And I
Yeah.
can show
Yeah.
you videos of lots of people that came through our class that made decisions that they might not have made
If it wasn't for
for the
the
class, the
tutelage.
whole
Yeah.
atmosphere and the nuances and the things that we explain, like don't slap people's gloves.
Yeah.
But we got, literally, they take literally minimum 100 for any ref, 100 plus takeaways. Where can you get 100 takeaways in 3 days? It would take you years,
Nowhere.
that kind of stuff.
Nowhere. Unless you incorrectly called Javante Davis fight, then you get 700
See, that's,
takeaways.
that's the trial and error method takes you 20 years to get that.
Yeah.
You got to learn from the mistakes that we made and everybody else has made, because we're putting them all together. And hey, guys, and we showed a scenario.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing. I like Steve Willis. He's a friend of mine, but that
Hmm.
incident was so big, and I've told him I have to show this in the class,
Yeah.
not because you made a bad decision at that moment. More importantly, that so many other referees thought they should have disqualified the cornerman because of what the cornerman did.
Right. Right.
That's the lesson that we're trying to teach. Yeah, it should have been a knockdown. That's a small lesson. The big lesson is no, it's not an automatic disqualification.
Yeah.
So
so,
we'll show that one.
so many people
And I'll
thought the
show the two
same thing.
guys slapping the hands, and I'll show there's a million
Right.
to show. We got
Yeah.
750. It's a 750 slide PowerPoint presentation
Deck.
in 2 days.
Uh,
Minimum 350 of those are videos, situations.
a lot easier to learn. Well, some people's learning styles are different, but I'm sure in that type of situation, it's easier to learn from experience and watching the fights than a rule book. You get to see the actual how close the bang bang plays are. Well,
But,
I don't
but
want to call them
also,
plays, but
but also, Marcus, if you did it by trial and error, you'd have to have 350 experiences.
of those, yeah, of
Yeah,
your own.
exactly. So by having experience in the ring and certain things happen that are similar, you'll pick it up by watching it and it'll register and you'll build a neural pathway and
Yeah.
realize you can't do it that way. Whatever.
It's like lawyers looking at old cases
Yes.
instead of their own.
100%. What
Yeah,
Practice
else
makes
do you learn
perfect,
from?
man.
Look,
exactly.
one thing I want to tell you guys, like, look, Zab Judah and remember Zab Judah and Floyd Mayweather?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Remember the riot?
In the
Hmm.
ring, yes.
So Roger Mayweather stepped in the ring, right?
Yep. Yep.
He could have disqualified Zab. He
Yeah.
didn't because it wasn't best for boxing. But additionally, he got him going back together. He never took a point from Judah for the two bad punch, for the groin shot and the shot behind the head.
Right. Right.
Nobody
Right.
complained about it. You got it settled down and let it go to a natural
A
conclusion.
100%. Yeah.
So
100%.
stuff. It's
We probably would. People don't realize we probably would've lost a lot of moments throughout the history of boxing if it was all matter of fact and not discretion.
100%.
The big moment is Fury.
Tyson fighting, no, Mike Tyson biting Evander Holyfield.
That too.
Holyfield. Yeah.
That too.
Yeah. Yep.
He didn't get disqualified the first time.
Nope.
Not
It's
until
so
it was,
many moments.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
what made you give Tyson Fury like a chance to get up and fight again? I was watching that
It's
the
pretty
other day.
simple, man.
Moments.
It's really pretty
Moments.
simple. In fact, let me show you something. I
Yeah.
gotta find the damn thing. It'll take me a second. Let me just put this down.
Okay.
Whoops. So I'm going to show you just the video of the knockdown because I can't find the picture I'm looking for. Only one more shot.
Okay.
Oh, I think I found the right file.
I'm like at the edge of my seat right now.
Are you really? That's not the one I want to show you. All right, I'm gonna show you the video because I can't find the damn picture I want. Give me 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
No, of course I pull up the whole thing. It's an hour and a half. I'm just trying to pull up the moment.
I couldn't even imagine.
All right, I got it. Let me share this screen with you guys, and I'll roll to it. I'm not going to share that one. All right. Tell me if you can see this picture.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You see Tyson Fury's right leg?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you the movie. I'm going to show you when it happened. But when Wilder hit him and he went down, I signaled down, sent Wilder to the neutral corner. And when I turned back around, I saw his leg up like this. I knew he wasn't unconscious. If he was
Yeah.
unconscious, that leg would have been flat,
Flat, yeah.
and he would have had no movement. He was on the ground. This leg was up, and he was squeezing his gloves.
Mm.
He was getting himself his composure is what he was
Yeah.
doing. So I simply said to myself, let me see what I got. He's not out. Let me see what I got. And when I started counting, the son of a bitch got up. What can I say? Let me see if I got that other. All right, I'm going to share the screen again.
Yep.
And watch his leg when he's down, when he's getting up. All right, I'm going to start this. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, I'm going to move it forward a little bit.
Okay.
Wait, that's not it. I got criticized for a long count. I swear to God, I was very fortunate that night. My count was right on the money. A down fighter is
Yeah.
no longer considered down. When do you guys think?
When he starts moving up, or is it?
When he walks to you,
He's no longer considered down. Marcus, you said it, Staples, you said it before. When's he considered down?
when anyone
Soles of the
touches
feet?
ground, the soles of the feet.
So when is he no longer down?
When he standing up,
When only the soles of his feet are touching the canvas.
gotcha.
He doesn't have to be erect and straight up. Once his hands come off the mat, the only thing is his feet touching, he's no longer down. So
Gotcha.
your job changes from counting to assessing. And that's
Yeah, to see if his faculty is there.
he was getting up as I was saying 9. He was no longer down, so I stopped. And then, did you see how I said walk to the right and come back to me?
Yeah.
I got criticized for that, like you wouldn't believe. Oh, you gave him all this time. It's now in the rule books. It was a new technique. It was a new technique that we had started using 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
The ringside physicians taught us that you gotta test the guy's cognitive ability when they get knocked down from a concussive blow, and you gotta make them use all the parts of their brain. Walking straight in a straight line doesn't do that. That's all in the frontal lobe. Where
Yeah.
that's why when you get pulled over for DUI, they make you turn completely around and walk back.
Right.
But we started doing it where the guy has to turn. You got to make him turn because it takes the lobes communicating to each other.
Yeah.
And I got criticized for that, like normal boxing shit. But now it's
Yeah.
in the rule book and everybody does it.
Yeah.
Well, and it paid off for you too. I mean, it was a hell of a decision. It paid off.
It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun when Joe Rogan had Deontay Wilder on his show ripping me a new asshole. But
Yeah, I know.
Shannon Sharp and Shannon Sharp and what's that? Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless, yeah,
That
undefeated,
jerk
or
off
that
that
was
guy is.
undisputed, I think it was. It's crazy.
That
I think,
Bayless, I don't think that guy Bayless has ever done a physical thing in his life except poof that hair up, and
yeah,
he's criticizing other people. Guy should be
that's
ashamed
true.
of himself. But
He's
anyway,
That's
my least
very true.
favorite. He's
I
my
was gonna
least
say,
favorite.
I think a part of that might be, and it kind of happens. Well, it seems like the analysts during the fight kind of shape people's opinion of the decisions that they're seeing in the fight.
of course.
So it's like if an analyst isn't familiar with the rule book, or which I feel like they should be a lot more
At Glass,
familiar with it.
none of them are. They don't come
Exactly.
to the seminars.
That's what I'm getting at.
We invite them. I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, who I give credit to. Tim Bradley,
Yeah.
he's been coming to seminars, and the ESPN crew guys taking interest. Sergio Mora and Chris Mannix have been
Uh-huh.
taking an interest, but for the most part, they don't care. And if you look at their background, some of them
Yeah.
never got punched in the face in their entire life, and they're criticizing fighters.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
And I think that's where a lot of it stems. It's kind of like it'll shape, if that's your only experience with it in the rule book is getting it from analysts, whatever they say is going to be quote unquote law because that's what you're paying attention to. Like some people will pay attention to the analysts more than the actual fights
Yeah.
because they think they don't understand what they're seeing in the ring. So they're saying that these people must be experts. So it kind of leads to skewed
He's getting
opinions.
paid to do the job. He must know what he's talking about.
100%, yeah. So
Glass, Glass,
That
and
is
that's
what
yeah,
that's exactly why I didn't want to do like a Gervonta Davis recap of that fight because I I'm sitting up here watching everybody criticize and there's so many opinions out there. I'm just reading at that point. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stay away from this. Let's get somebody on who we can talk to and just kind of learn a little bit from. So that's kind of why I didn't do
yeah,
anything that week at all.
But Javante is not without fault and responsibility.
Yeah,
He shouldn't have got up and walked away.
I
He
agree.
stuck his head
100%,
through the ropes, got wiped off. I mean,
I
that
agree.
didn't happen.
100%,
Weird
100%.
situation. It's a weird situation.
It is.
Staples, that if you haven't gathered
He's a
that, Jack.
Javante Davis fan.
Yeah, if you haven't
Hey,
gathered that, Jack,
and
I would have
no,
did the recap by myself if I
no,
had to.
no, that's a fact. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of a lot of fighters, man. It was a touchy one. He should have been called down. I still thought he won the fight.
Yeah.
Still thought he won.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave that there.
That's why we didn't do the. He just basically told you why we didn't do the recap, Jack, is because he thought Javante won the fight and he
I
didn't want to do the
I
recap.
didn't want any clickbait.
So that's another thing. Do you guys know? This is another thing I think you guys should do too. Sometimes the way to become a ref is to go through the inspector's rank and then
Mhm.
start out as a judge and
Yeah.
and do both at the same time and then referee.
Yeah.
You guys know the scoring criteria? It's another thing you should be looking up and really understanding and go to a seminar. It's
Uh-huh.
not very expensive. Go to the ABC seminar and take a judging course. You'll be surprised at what you learn.
I would love to do that and definitely am putting that on my radar.
Invest
Because
in yourself, man. I'm telling you.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think that's what I'm gonna have to start doing. So if I have any questions, I'll definitely reach out because I think I like going through the inspector route. I think that's a as far as getting some familiarity with it. I think that'd be a good start for me for sure.
Yeah, it'll be a nice way to step in the water in the shallow end instead of just jumping in the back end.
Yeah,
Get a taste of it, and you're either gonna love it or you're not gonna like it.
yeah,
And it's
100%.
an easy way to, find out.
Yeah, that's how my brain works. I mean, I also like to, drink from the fire hose sometimes and try to figure it out. But I feel
Mhm.
like in a situation like this, I'd rather progressively um get myself involved instead of, because of the ramifications of uh, a poor decision. I wouldn't want that to affect anyone's career, let alone, what happens with their
Well,
with their
you're not
body.
gonna be thrown in there without really understanding what you're doing, so you'll be
Yeah,
trained. But
yeah.
what if you get in this and you go, do you ever hear this expression, the juice isn't worth the squeeze?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you guys got to decide because the squeeze it's a tough squeeze,
Yeah.
not like
Rigorous.
overnight. So you guys want to say, you guys get involved say to yourself, is this worth it to me? And
Hmm.
it is great. Staples, it might take you away from your family so much, you say no. You never know.
Yeah, for sure.
So give it a shot. I encourage you guys to, and I'll answer questions when I can for you and give you some direction or whatever. But if you talk yourself out of it, you'll be upset without trying. I talked
That's true.
myself out of it. I wanted to do this. I had an amateur bout as a boxer.
Hmm.
The Battle of the Badges, police against fire.
Yes.
Yeah,
When I was
yeah,
30, I took a fight on 2 days' notice to fight for the fire department against the sheriffs and the LAPD. And after that, I said, "Man, I'm not fighting anymore. I'm getting too old for this, or
yeah.
whatever." And I said, "Man," and I wanted to be a ref, and I talked myself out of it for about 8 years, 9 years.
Mm,
I should have done it then. I
Yeah.
don't know why I
yeah.
didn't.
I'm good at making snap decisions like that. I'm very calculated, but I usually just go for it. So that's why uh I'm sure it'll probably happen in the very near future.
So let
I'm
me give
going
you
to
two other
accomplish.
things I just thought about. When was the last time either of you were in a professional boxing gym?
It's been a minute.
Probably since my dad took me to one.
It's been
Ooh,
a minute for
Boy.
me. I would say 8 years. Pre-COVID. Pre-COVID for
Mine
sure.
might have been
so
16.
if you were going to be a cop or a fireman, wouldn't you visit some police stations and fire stations and talk to the guys and find out all about their job?
Absolutely.
100%.
Great way for you guys to go just get around the game. Go to some
Yeah.
gyms, watch guys train. But if you got a guy training in Ohio for an upcoming fight, say, hey, I got a local podcast. I'd like to cover him on our podcast. It's free advertisement for the guy. So
True.
you go and you watch him train, you give him a 5 minute interview, whatever it is, you know what I mean? And then put him
Yeah.
on the show for, about his upcoming fight. And meanwhile, you're around these fighters, you're around the game. Next thing you know, you're around the commission and you're around the inspectors. You're
Yeah.
getting involved. A lot of people say, I can do this. Well, get involved. You want to be
Yep.
involved, get involved.
100%. You're
Yeah.
So
exactly
go to
right.
Devote your
gyms
time.
too.
Devote your time. Get some time and
It's better
set
than going
set
to a
apart
bar
some
and
time.
drinking all day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
For sure, for
Absolutely.
sure. So now I
Anyway,
I agree.
fellas, I
That's
got to
some good
get running.
advice.
Wow. We
Yeah.
appreciate your time, man.
Yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely.
everything today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Good luck to both of you. Please stay in touch. Um, Staples, please give Glass all my contact information.
Yes, sir.
And if you would both send me a text with your, a picture, name, and email address and phone number, I'll make
We
you a
can do that.
contact on my phone and we'll stay in touch, man. It
Yes,
takes
sir.
2 seconds
For sure.
to text each other just
Yes,
to
sir.
Oh
stay
yeah.
in touch.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
absolutely. We'll make sure of that for sure. And I appreciate you devoting your time. I appreciate you for what you've done for the box community and thank you for your insight. It was from from the fights and from getting to the boxing world. I'm sure there's some other people out there that have been on the fence about it as well. So it helps to hear that voice to just do it.
You can just
100%,
do
man.
it. It's really what it is. And when I decided to really do it, I just said, "Shit, I really want to do this, and I'm not letting anything stop me." And I was fortunate, and I laugh. I don't know how spiritual you guys are, but
Mhm.
it was God's hand.
Yeah,
God's hand got me out of New York. I never thought I'd leave New York. Next thing I know, I'm on the fire department a year later, and I
yeah,
got a job and a pension and all this stuff, and it was like, wow. And I asked God for that. I said, man, I'm a
yeah,
bum. Anyway, and then I just started going for things, and when you go for things, the world opens up to you. I don't know how to
yeah.
explain it better.
That's a
Yeah, no,
blessing,
I
man.
understand. It's a blessing, and sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. It's like me and coming out to Arizona. I would have never. I told an old girlfriend that I would never move to Arizona, and that's why we broke up because she was out here, and ended
Spin
up
the
out here.
block.
And I'm like, why didn't I move there faster?
Spin the block.
But
Yeah,
are you with her anymore?
She's married, and with kids. A funny story. I ran into her on her bachelorette party out here because she moved back to Ohio. She's like, "You said you'd never move out here." I was like. It's never about what you plan. I'll tell you that. You can plan as much as you think. God has a plan for you.
Absolutely.
There's an old
Absolutely.
saying, man plans and God laughs.
Yeah, yeah, yep. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Anyway,
Well
So
said.
Yeah,
we'll talk again soon, guys, and
Yes, sir.
for
thank you
sure.
so much for having me on the show. And send me a copy where we can see the edited. I can see the edited version.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It'll be on
Absolutely.
YouTube for
And
sure.
I recorded it too, Staples. So
Uh-huh.
if something happens before I delete it, let me know, and I'll send it to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I
Sounds
can.
good.
Appreciate you.
It'll be a hell of a big file, man.
Hey, man. Hey, we'll work it out. We'll work it out for
We'll
sure.
figure it out.
All right.
We'll figure it out. All right.
All right,
Have
All
a
fellas.
good
right.
rest
Take
of your
care,
day.
Have a
guys.
good one. Yes,
You
sir.
too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.